Hi, good evening, and you are viewing 31 Wisdom Keys to Focusing on Your Passion. LaunchPad Consultancy, in collaboration with VisionWorks Solutions, bring to you Book Club Conversations Season 3. And in this series, entrepreneurs and professionals are reading the book, The Uncommon Dream, 31 Wisdom Keys for Focusing on the Passion of Your Heart, written by author Mike Murdoch. I am your host, Alina Lewis, and today's discussion is centered around Chapter 7, entitled The Uncommon Dream Will Unleash an Uncommon Enemy. And joining me this evening, once again in conversation, is Janine Caesar of JC Charm and Roll Rollocks of VisionWorks Solutions. Good evening, my lady. Good evening, my gentleman. How are you this evening?
Good evening, Alina. I'm fine.
Hello. Good evening again.
Awesome.
Alina.
It is great. Yes. It is great as always being here with you guys. Getting into the book club conversation. How has Chapter 7 been for you?
This book is, I feel like I'm being dragged. Like everything is being laid bare. Like you'd always have something in the back of your mind, and it felt like he took what was at the back of my mind and laid it in front of me.
Right.
It's wow.
We have transformation popping up for you. It's getting you all the way together.
This chapter was.
Go ahead, Rob.
This chapter was a little unexpected for me. It came to me as a surprise when I saw the topic that he was dealing with in this particular chapter. So it certainly helped me to shift my paradigm pertaining to a lot of things that the challenges that we go through. So I think this chapter helped to put some of those challenges into perspective.
It brought a rude awakening. I'll put it like that. It definitely brought a new awakening, because when Mike Murdoch declared an uncommon dream will unleash an uncommon enemy, he went deep with it. And as it brought a new awakening, I could tell you, as I revisited my current season, I was looking at the checklist and I said, oh my. Oh my! Ooh, and listen, if you haven't read this book, you need to get this book, guys. You need to put your hands on it and get your hands on this book, because it is going to change the way you perceive your challenges. So I want to start off by asking, what was your big takeaway, Janine, as you looked at this chapter?
For me, what stood out is when he said what God does not put in you, he's going to put in someone near to you. So that blew my mind. It's like, oh yeah, and that's why I keep saying things keep falling into place. Even though I can't provide it, it's being provided. It's being given to me. It's being revealed to me. So yeah, I totally agree with that. That blew my mind when I heard that, when I read that.
Yeah, Roll, what about you? Roll, are you hearing us?
Yeah, I see. We seem to have lost Alina for a bit there. See, she's coming back.
Yeah, well, that's a little.
For me, Janine, it was certainly interesting to see that in the challenges and in the enemies that you meet up, there's puts. So that if you really embrace it, you can realize that there are things that have a challenge. Could you repeat, Janine?
No, go ahead. I'm listening here.
Yes, yes, that the the challenges that we face or the enemies that we face help to sharpen some things within us. So for me, that was a big takeaway here. That if you really look at the enemies in your lives, and sometimes those enemies can be right or wrong, can be sometimes within you, your own in your own mind. You understand? Within your own
Yes.
family, wherever they come from, they serve a purpose. You know, and if you have the right perspective, you can see what those enemies do. And he did spend some time talking about the reasons why enemies are necessary. So that for me was the biggest takeaway, Alina.
Yeah, definitely. And as we went through the book, we saw the notion of enemy being made parallel to adversity. So while yes, the book does identify humans as part of the category of enemies sometimes that we face, we can also interpret the idea of enemies to be adversities because sometimes it comes in the forms of situations that are around us. My question for you guys is uh, the book says adversity forces you to use hidden gifts. And even as persons take a look at this, I'm curious to find out what hidden gifts have you discovered as a result of adversity? Because the way we perceive hidden gifts can vary from person to person based on exposure and experience. So, for those who will be viewing on with us, it would be a great opportunity to list some of those things we consider to be hidden gifts so they too can reflect on their own circumstance and say, what can I pull out of me? So, Janine, let's jump in with you. What hidden gift have you discovered as a result of dealing with adversity?
So, well, for me, I've had problems finding the ring light that I want. So it now I had to tap into my creativity, and again I draw that from my mom because when we didn't have something, she would create something that would suffice. So when I couldn't find the ring light that I wanted, I looked around at home and said, okay, well, what can I use? And right now, I'm being illuminated by the light of an old cell phone. I just put on the flashlight of an old cell phone and I propped it up, and here I am.
So, one of your hidden, but I think it's maybe not so hidden at the same time, is your
Yeah.
ability to be creative
Always,
because that is
yes,
a
yes. And I always
gift.
give thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Ron, what about you? Hidden gifts that you've discovered within yourself because of adversity.
I will have to jump off from where Janine left it. I think for all of us, innovation and creativity, or at least the depths of it, you don't know the extent of the your creativity and innovation when you're challenged with an enemy, for example, like lack, like not having money to put off a program that you want to do, or to purchase the kind of raw materials or products that you need to purchase, or to hire the kind of staff that you need, and it forces you to dig deep to come up with solutions, and you look back at it and say, wow, I did that. I was able to make do with little. I was able to maybe connect with people and help bring people on board to help me accomplish it. I think that point about creativity and innovation could never be understated as a hidden gift and talent in all of us, and we don't know the extent of it. It's deep. you know
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like you say that saying is necessity is the mother of invention. That rings true tonight.
definitely. And I wanna add to what you all are saying, the possibility of a hidden gift being optimism. Optimism and being solution oriented. And I use that because one of the things that stand out to me at this stage is in reflecting, I realized one of the things, even in many years past, even as far back as maybe when I was a student at school, I can remember from even back then people saying, you could do that, and questioning, you could do that, you sure you want to do that? Why do settle for this? You might fail. What if it goes wrong? And when upon reflection, it's one thing I always acknowledge within self. I've always had that ability when these words are spoken to just shake it off and keep it moving. I am always the optimistic one that says, no, now we can do it, and this is how we can do it. And a lot of times, I think we disregard or overlook the importance of optimism. And I'm not saying optimism to the point that you want to not look at the reality, not look at facts, not look at research, but the belief that says, I believe it is possible, let me find a way. And that in itself can be a valuable tool when adversity pops up. Because even as the author looks at it and talks about the naysayers and the negative words and people who carry on conversation that only emphasize on your weaknesses and your challenges, that ability to be optimistic and say, you know what? It's okay that you don't believe in me, but I believe in me. I believe in this dream. I believe in this project. That could keep your motivation going and take you a far distance, as opposed to if you were not tapped into that optimism. And so I just kind of wanted to stick that one there. Yes, go ahead, Janine.
Another thing that I drew from that is that your enemy can reveal your flaws, and when your flaws are revealed, you can work on it and make it become positive and make it work for you. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. They're going to make things difficult, but they can also make you better. If you view it as a challenge, it can make you better.
And this is where I think humility really comes in. Because if, as an individual, one is challenged in the area of humility, when that weakness shows up, it's easy to retaliate, become defensive, argue, justify. So, definitely, we all need to have our space where we're checking the ego. So, rather than become offended, as someone said to me many moons ago, look for the thin line of truth inside of there and work on that. And when you look for that thin line of truth and you work on it, you can only be made better. And I think that's an important factor as well. So my question is, what key to overcoming adversity did you connect with most? Roll, what about you?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, I was asking which key to overcoming adversity did you connect
the
with
question, Alina?
the most?
Yeah.
Raul, is it that you're not hearing me? I was saying which key to overcoming adversity did you connect with the most?
I would say when he made a point about uncommon dreams require uncommon determination, right? And this may sound funny, but when I read it in the chapter, somehow for the first time I was focusing on the whole idea of uncommon. And by that I mean, and if I follow what Mike Murdoch is saying, things that we want to pursue that you may pursue, all right? But when you really hold on to something that is big, something that is a game changer, something that's going to make a big difference, there's another type of enemy that, you know, it's uncommon, something out of the, and pretty often people who have that level of faith to push themselves to accomplish great things, the enemies that come up, the challenges that come up are pretty uncommon, and you require that uncommon determination. And for me, that speaks about faith, you know. And as a child of God, that faith aspect to me that's all. You know, without faith, we just make these things possible. The faith that is read, you know, basically water, and that's somehow how it resonated for me. That uncommon determination, and that was the big key for me in this particular chapter.
Okay, Janine, what about you?
Repeat the question for me.
Of
Because
course, my
I
question
lost
was,
focus.
which key to overcoming adversity did you connect with the most?
When he said is that God will never let your enemy, um, I'm at a loss, so is Ron had me thinking there. God will never let your enemy triumph over you. He's going to fight for you, and you need to sometimes understand that not every battle is yours. You need to sometimes let go
Sure.
and let God and let Him do His work, and you keep still
Ye-
doing what you have to do. Let go, let Him fight that battle, and you keep stepping forward. It's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. A
Yes.
big thing
Yes.
for me is
Yes.
staying focused on goals at all times. Because sometimes in the individual situations on maybe a day-to-day or week-to-week basis, everything does not always work out the way we want it to, and that applies in business, professionally, personally, in the home, in the street, in the
In
market,
life,
the sun. And sometimes when we look at the combination of things that don't work, it could make us feel defeated. But having that perspective to stay focused on the big
Yes.
picture
Yeah.
can go a long way. Because sometimes we may stumble in this particular event. Let's take you, Janine, you're an event planner. You probably, you're working on pivoting and getting your programs online. But let's say you only focus on the challenges associated with getting it online. Someone who's not looking at the big picture could say, it's not working anymore, better I give up. But then if you focus on the big picture and you look at the history of what you've accomplished and all the great jobs you've done over the years and the pictures and the stories, you could remember, this is why I got into this. So even though I have to make an adjustment in this area, it is worth fighting for. And so keeping
for
our eyes
me,
on that big picture. Yes, Janine?
for me that for me, I will always say seeing the smiles after an event, there is no there are few feelings that come close to that. When you see people walking and say, yeah, I had a good time tonight, or I had a good
Yes.
time today, I love that feeling. I love bringing that joy to somebody. I really do.
Yeah. So, I mean, keeping eyes on big picture, staying focused on the goal, I think that's great. But even as we wrap up this conversation, we can't wrap up without you taking a moment to share your wisdom for transformation. So, Roll, what is your wisdom for transformation final word that you want to leave with the viewing audience?
Well, one of the things that Mike Murdoch mentioned in this particular chapter, he focused on the 5 reasons your enemies are necessary. I read that another way. The 5 benefits of your enemies. you know? And there was one in particular. He mentioned enemies are the bridges between obscurity and significance. And that jumped out at me, right? That the challenges that you face going to bring out so many things in you, as it exposes your weaknesses and your limitations and your gifting, that it is really a platform that you're going to actually use. And that's a very interesting perspective. You can look at the enemy and in the enemy's face and say, thank you very much. Because of you, I'm going to conquer. Whatever your enemy is, let's say it's lack, let's say it's lack of resources, lack of support. You can look at that in the face every morning and say, you are going to be my bridge to significance. And I felt that was very motivational for many of us out there that face these challenges every day. And I see it as an actual affirmation that we can make. Every morning we can look at our challenges in the face and look at our enemies and say, you are going to be my bridge from obscurity to significance. So that for me was the big transformational quote that I take away.
Yeah. Janine, what wisdom for transformation are you taking out of chapter 7?
chapter 7, he spoke about distraction. And for me, I can get easily distracted. Like I can be working on something and something, because I usually have my TV on just as white noise in the background. And I'm finding that these days I could be working, but something on the TV would catch my eye and I would sit and I would watch and I pay attention. And then when I look, it's about 20 minutes to an hour gone by.
Yes.
And what I wanted to get done isn't done. So now I'm behind. And he spoke to distraction. I took a hard look at what I was doing these days. And yeah, I'm going to be changing some of the stuff that I'm doing now to avoid that distraction.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to share the reminder from the book that says successful people encounter opposition. And that's it. Because a lot of times when we go through things, especially if we don't have anyone to go through it with, anyone to talk to, a lot of times entrepreneurs feel very alone in different moments. And so it's easy to imagine that you are the only person going through this. But if we remember that successful
Yes,
people
yes.
encounter opposition, it's going to make it so much easier to know that you're not the first, you're not the last, you can do this, you can overcome. So even before we close, guys, take a minute and remind the audience, our viewers, about your business and how they can get in contact with you. Janine?
Okay, well, again, I'm the owner of JC Charm. We are an event management business where we strive to bring that little bit of class to any event that you have, anything that you want. We try to pull it off with ease, where you will not be stressing. You just give us the information that we need, and we take it from there, and we make that event happen for you.
Yeah, and roll?
Yes, as Vision Works, we reach a number of audiences. We help individuals make greater impacts, small businesses, as well as the corporate sector. But tonight, I'll make a special appeal or outreach to those in the social impact area. Those are NGOs, community-based organizations, sporting groups. And if you're out there, you're looking for ways to make great impact, whether it is accessing greater, more funding, technical support and advice, I want to reach out to them in particular to reach out to us online at www.visionworks.solutions and let's have a chat about how we can help you make greater impact in your space.
Yes, and of course, I'm Alina Lewis. I function as a success coach and strategist, and I support individuals, helping them connect passion, purpose, and success. You can find me on all platforms looking for Alina Lewis, success coach and strategist. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in with us this evening. And until tomorrow, have a great one.